trying to find a spot without the sun here in your eyes and in my eyes. But anyway, just bought this coffee here in the park in a dispensing machine, which cost me about 9.9 RMB, which is roughly just over £1, about £1.10 or something. But when you watch this video, I'm most likely going to be sat on an aeroplane heading back to Scotland for a wee visit with the family. Love Scotland, but in my opinion, it is a country that is batting well below its average, an early colony of the British Empire. And I do hope that it is the next country to leave said empire, even though there is no empire. But I hear often people say to me, you live in China, so what's it got to do with you? I shake my head in disbelief, because I always come to the conclusion that at my age that a lot of people just have very narrow thinking. But in their defence, it isn't their fault. It is what they continue to consume that causes it. But let me tell you a wee bit about life here in China. So I've sat down. Coffee's not bad, to be honest. Yeah, I might walk around this park and share it with you. But China is really far more than what they describe to you if you are in the West and consuming the mainstream media narrative. Even the new media, they call it, like the Joe Rogan podcast or so, they're still miles off the mark in what they describe China as, and they also cannot see past American exceptionalism. Sure, these guys, they are happy to manage that image, and also they are often, slagging off the politicians and their government, which is fine. But the reality is they are still very much in the camp of America is the one and only country that is deserving of any recognition, and they should rule the world. But things, in my opinion, are changing, and people are getting more informed. And I see that as part of my job while living here in a beautiful place, China. So hopefully you can hear me, because there's lots of dancing over there, music, and then this guy is just G.I.O. Just wandered up doing exercising, but it's crazy. So, not crazy, I mean super fit. That's what you see in the local community and the local park here. But anyway, I've spoke in previous videos about how big Chinese cities are, and some things that stand out, and if people from the West knew it, it would blow their mind. I mean, like huge cities with millions of people and very little crime, huge tall skyscrapers nestled in amongst the local temples, churches and mosques. Yep, you heard that correctly. And also, all of that is often lit up at night, displaying fantastic light shows across the buildings for people to enjoy with their families and their local communities. I've also talked previously about incredible infrastructure, huge airports, loads of new motorways all set up for the electric vehicle revolution that is happening here in China. Miles and miles of high-speed rail I've talked about previously, just runs on time that can get you from city to city, fast, conveniently and safely. In the cities, there are incredible metro systems that are excellent in design, very pleasing on the old eye. The designs and innovations that I see in China are second to none and very advanced, but you wouldn't know that unless you took a closer look. And if you look, you will be surprised. It's brilliant. Cool guy, man. Super fit. Anyway, when you get into some of the detail about China, You experience clean streets, no graffiti. There is very little drunkenness. Homelessness, very, very few. I don't see streets of drug addicted people lying around desperate for help and support. Traffic is quieter. The overuse of horns is frowned upon here, actually. I think it's banned in some of the areas in the city. And anyway, from my experience, most drivers give way to each other using a form of logic rather than protecting their space with that bravado and pride that I often see in Western cultures. Bikes and scooters flow in and out traffic and also on the sidewalk, which I have to admit gets to me sometimes because I end up with that kind of confused moment of not knowing what way to turn on the sidewalk when the bike is hurtling towards me. However, in the end, it just seems to work out just fine. So they've made some changes in this park, which is pretty cool. The coffee machine, they've redone the sidewalk here at the side of the lake. Big pink swing thing there. All very interesting. So when you do get into the granular detail of living in China, you realise that it is very peaceful. There's very little aggressive behaviour and violence. There is a society, in my opinion, that is at peace with itself, a calmness, a contentment. The old people seem to enjoy themselves much more. I see security cameras around, but I see that the same anywhere in the Western cities and major societies. I do see cameras, but yet here I feel safe. Not sure I can say that about other places in the West, not so much. Someone just scattered some stuff across the ice in the lake here. Didn't realise it was iced. Yeah, I was talking about safety. My daughter, for instance, in Manchester, she's had her phone stolen twice in the space of 3 months. One incident was it was snatched out her hand. While she was using it, she reported it to the police, but to be honest, the police didn't want to know. It was just one of the thousands of such incidents that are reported in the West on a daily basis. Here, police don't carry guns. They're very much set up to help the general population. When I've asked police officers here for anything, they've always been very helpful and they go out their way to solve issues. I sometimes also see security guards, quite a lot here in different locations, but I think that they're not that effective, to be honest. Sometimes I position in my head that it's just jobs for the sake of jobs, but then what is the alternative to that? Just to allow people to waste away with no hope or support. People, when they're in that situation, that no hope, no support, that hopeless system or situation, they turn to crime, drugs and other ways to earn a living, if you know what I mean. Yeah, keep walking, I think. Yeah, it's quite fresh here. I'm sure this scene in a minute. It's beautiful. But there is a lot of convenience here, like paying for things through an app, including apps that display English, gotta say. Like you just saw me do with the coffee machine there. I'm also quite often asked about this social credit score from people in the West. And when I ask people here, they look at me blankly, as if, what are you talking about? And then if they describe anything to me, it's usually very much like a financial credit score that you would get in the Western societies, where if you don't pay your bills, then you can't borrow money. It's the same in the West. So in the words of the famous hip hop group, I would say, don't believe the hype. I need to watch my footing when I walk with a camera going downstairs. Don't want to fall on my backside. But yeah, here in China, communities feel very united, strong, and there is a lot of social cohesion, and that's none so more evident when you're in the local parks or in the restaurants. There are always activities going on in the local parks and restaurants, and the food here is to die for, or should I say not to die for, because there is very little of that processed food and obesity here, which in my opinion is killing a lot of people in the Western society. So yeah, so sure, absolutely, there are things that can push you off here in China, but the upside, in my opinion, far outweighs the downside in China. So get your ass, in my opinion, get your ass on a plane and come out and see China for yourself. I'm guaranteeing you it will not disappoint. Yeah, so hopefully the next video update will be from a Christmassy Glasgow city centre, where I might share with you a wee surprise or two. Anyway, me, Ian, here in Beijing, saying to you, look after yourself, your family, your community, and above all, peace out. Guy playing music instrument over there. So peaceful. I love this park. Yeah.